Doctor Who The Collection Series 13 is finally here on Blu-ray, but is it unlucky 13?
Okay, roll 'em!
Once again, I say series, not season, because that's what we've always called them here in the UK, the home of Doctor Who. If you go to BBC iPlayer, most programmes are still referred to as series, except for Doctor Who. It seems that this is purely to sell more units in North America, as the BBC seem to believe that the word series would really confuse and upset Americans, or indeed any possible American backers of a future series of Doctor Who. Yes. Good luck with that. As usual, the cover art is excellent when it comes to the collection series, and this has to be one of the best we've seen so far, with rich red and purple tones, the backdrop of Zygon technology surrounding the Doctor in his Scottish Highlands outfit. This is a very weighty 8-disc set, and the box has to be one of the thickest we've seen. Oddly though, there seems to have been a bit of a production gaffe when it comes to the packaging, because the back of this collection doesn't fit flush with the back of the discs, and that appears to be because the spine is too wide and it leaves a really unsightly gap. It's really not a great look, and it makes it a bit awkward to put this collection onto the shelves. And as we do pay an awful lot of money for special edition packaging, I'd really like to know how this got past quality control. Moving on to the contents of this set, the disc art is as usual excellent. We have a standard booklet, which I usually only flick through once, but it's nice to have, and again a lot of care and attention goes into illustrating these. As a child growing up in 1970s Britain, Tom Baker really was my absolute favourite Doctor Who, and a real hero, not just to myself, but millions of others. And because we never had video recorders or catch-up services or streaming of any kind, then it really was good old-fashioned appointment to watch television. Don't forget, we only had 2 other TV channels in the UK back then, and they really didn't stand much chance when Doctor Who aired in its original time slot of early on Saturday evenings. Kids, including myself, were absolutely enthralled, and adults pretended not to be hooked, only staying in the room to reassure their children that the scary monsters on the telly wouldn't get them. And I'll never forget finding out that, just like myself, Tom Baker, far from being a posh London actor, was in fact from a working-class Liverpool background. And I'm sure that this is definitely one of the things that spurred me on to become a performer and eventually a voiceover artist. If he could make it, maybe I could. Now, fast forward years later, I'm working as a voiceover artist, and I find myself sitting opposite none other than Tom Baker in the waiting room of a Soho recording studio, and I just didn't have the guts to talk to him. My heart began to pound, my mouth went dry, and I only just managed to calm down before going into my own recording session. I think deep down that's because I didn't want to be disappointed by actually meeting my hero. Let's face it, as the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker could be a bit scary sometimes, almost as scary as the monsters he fought, giving off a real sense of danger and righteous anger that we simply hadn't seen in the character before. But as many have said before, classic Doctor Who never really recovered from the lightning bolt that was Tom Baker. That's because this previously destitute actor, working on a building site in fact when he was cast as the Doctor, saw the character as his last chance not only for greatness and possibly fame, but also just regular work. And it simply can't be underestimated that he ran with this part so hard that even to this day, many fans of the classic series have a pretty hard time imagining any other actor as the Doctor. For me, Tom Baker's first 3 series as the Doctor, with Philip Hinchcliffe as producer, are my all-time favourites, and smack in the middle of this comes Series 13. Now, even as a huge fan of classic Doctor Who, I still did a double take when I read the back of this box set, and it hit me once again how many great stories came within the same series. Terror of the Zygons, Planet of Evil, The Pyramids of Mars, The Android Invasion, The Brain of Morbius, and The Seeds of Doom. And if you're even thinking of buying this box set, then the chances are that, like me, you know these stories back to front, so I won't be reviewing them individually. But of these stories, it's widely agreed that Android Invasion has to be the weakest, due to some dodgy monster masks, a lot of shouty explanatory dialogue, and the criminal underuse of Ian Marter as Harry Sullivan in his last appearance in the show. The remainder of the stories are of course incredibly strong, with I think the greatest villainous performances in the whole series of Doctor Who. Tom Baker was equally as good as the Fourth Doctor, especially when it came to moments of seriousness, because this meant that he really earned his comedic moments, which made us relax as children and reassured us that everything was going to be okay in the end. Now, sadly, Tom Baker's own comedic silliness did take over at times in later series, but Philip Hinchcliffe, as probably the greatest producer Doctor Who's ever had, did do a wonderful job of reining this in. When it comes to special features, we have the usual making of documentaries and of course the oddities such as bits from Blue Peter and various other children's shows that came with the previous DVD releases. Amongst the best new features, we have Return to 13, hosted by Uber-fan Toby Haddock, who together with Philip Hinchcliffe visits the various locations of Series 13 and unearths some original props along the way. As a special treat, they even pay a call on Sutekh himself, actor Gabriel Wolf, who gets to try on his original mask from the show. Then we have an excellent and heartfelt feature on the life and work of actor and writer Ian Marter. And finally, there's a very in-depth and comprehensive interview with favourite Who director Graham Harper, hosted as usual by writer and broadcaster Matthew Sweet, who has done a fantastic job so far on all of the collection interviews. And finally, let's look at image quality and in particular, the controversy surrounding this box set's release. It seems that some fans who, like myself, know these episodes back to front are really not pleased with the restoration, or what they see as the alteration, of Series 13 by the use of certain AI tools in putting it together. Well, now having watched the entire box set for myself, I can give you my honest opinion of the image quality as a long-time fan. All of the outdoor scenes in this box set, shot on film, appear to be overly sharpened with too much contrast applied. This means blacks appear crushed, and many of the highlights, especially the sky, are blown out. Grass, trees and foliage all appear to have a sort of unnatural colour to them without too much variation in tone, as if the same digital brush has been applied across all of it. And yes, Terror of the Zygons does appear to be the worst affected story, where the same tools or techniques have been applied not only to filmed exteriors, but also, bizarrely, the studio video footage. And yes, I'm sad to say that a lot of the detail in the faces of the actors has been lost, and they appear too smooth and waxy. The two entirely studio-based stories of Series 13, Planet of Evil and The Brain of Morbius, seem to have gotten away unscathed, and I can't really tell much difference between these versions and those on the DVD releases. Thankfully, the same thing goes for The Seeds of Doom, as all of its exteriors, apart from a few FX shots, were also shot on videotape. So, what's my final verdict when it comes to Series 13 of Doctor Who and AI Gate? Well, let's face it, classic Doctor Who has never been famous for its image quality, and that's simply because for years and years, even when it was totally unnecessary, the BBC carried on with the same policy of shooting everything outdoors on cheap 16mm film and everything indoors on the same heavy studio cameras that they'd use for quiz shows or news bulletins. Now, if you're a true fan of classic Doctor Who, you know all of this and you love the show anyway, for its stories, its great scripts, the various doctors, and of course all the fun of remembering your childhood. So it really does beg the question, why bother to use AI at all, especially as most fans, including myself, were absolutely fine with what we've been getting so far in these collections from the original transmission tapes. Series 7 had some terrible image quality throughout due to its historical problems with the original source material, but fans still bought it, understanding that the BBC or whoever they employed to restore it had done the best they could. Now, there are of course all kinds of rumours spreading online about why this has been done to Doctor Who Series 13, but I simply can't be bothered to go down that rabbit hole because life is just too short. All I can say is I don't like what I see, and I just wish they hadn't done it because it does spoil what otherwise would be a really excellent box set. And perhaps sometime in the near future there will be an AI-free re-release, but I won't hold my breath. But as usual, just let me know what you think in the comments. Are you totally happy with what's been done regarding AI? And do you think it's all just a storm in a digital teacup? Or like me, are you quite annoyed, but not annoyed enough to return it because you've been waiting for this box set of Series 13 for so long? Just let me know your thoughts. And in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, why not like, share and subscribe to keep me motivated, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.